Hi, everybody. It's Agnes, and I have got a very special person to interview today, Jaclyn, whom you have seen 2.5 times. 2 with me and 1 with you, me, and Dan. So welcome, Jaclyn.
Hello. I'm so happy to be back.
Yes, it's so good to see you again. A few people had emailed me and said, hey, can you get back some of the really good old interviews? And your name did come up, so I contacted you. Yeah, it's lovely. And your story has completely changed and transformed since we last did our interview with Dan. So, yeah, I'm going to hand it over to you. Back to then.
Okay. So, if everyone remembers, I had manifested my person back, and we'd been back together for about a year. Last summer, 2018, I noticed that it was just getting really difficult. We weren't progressing, and I would, meditate and focus and script and do all of my normal practices, but it just wasn't getting better. And it was almost like we were stuck. And I felt like I had conversations with him about it, and he thought everything was okay. And I really feel like I was starting to outgrow the situation, but I just didn't understand it fully because I was asking the universe for things, and I would get a glimpse of them, but not really like full on manifesting that situation. Like, it just wasn't fully happening. It was only pieces. So fall rolled around, which is October here in the United States, and we just weren't getting any better. And a few things happened, and my insecurities, just kept coming to the surface. I couldn't get rid of them. I couldn't walk away from them, no matter how much self-love I gave. I was almost like I was never going to get past these things with him because so much had happened. I had him back in my life, but it doesn't fix everything. You can manifest someone back, and it doesn't immediately go back to just perfect. There's work still to do on yourself, and you have to still grow together as a couple. And, it just was not healthy for me. I was not in the right mindset, no matter what I did. And I noticed, like I said, that I was asking the universe for things that I just don't think he could be. Like, everybody has free will, and as a human, I don't think that these were qualities that were really him. And it just wasn't getting better. So a few things happened, and we parted ways, and I reached out to you and Dan, and I was devastated. I was crisis mode. I didn't know what had happened, how I'd gotten here, but I actually felt relief. And that was something that I didn't notice until maybe a couple of days. I think I felt it at first, but it wasn't like I was more traumatized. And once I felt the relief, I realized, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be going. I've outgrown this, because you have to understand, with all this work that we do on ourselves, because self-love is important above all. If you don't love yourself, you're going to pick apart everything based on your insecurities. And I didn't realize that I had outgrown the situation, because we're constantly growing. When you're healing all this old stuff and you're working through all this junk to be a better person, you don't realize how much you're growing, and the other person may not grow with you. They have their own journey. You can visualize them being better. You can visualize a good life for them. You can see them in a good light. But it's up to them. You cannot control another person. You just can't. And you shouldn't want to, because that's creepy. But allowing that growth to happen, and either they grow with you or they don't. And it's scary for some people. I think people don't want to accept that something may not work out, but it doesn't mean that there's not something so much better for you, like waiting for you because you keep asking the universe for these specific things. And I'm telling you, I had signs that were just like, this is not what you want. I'm trying to give you something better. Just let go. Just because there were things that just kept happening. And I was like, why is this happening? I don't understand.
Yeah.
And I would, and it was almost like it was trying to say, over here, Jaclyn, like over here, look over here. I have something for you. And I wasn't getting it until it finally was something so big that I couldn't ignore. It had to rock my world and shake me up. And now my life has completely transformed. It's incredible.
So tell us how, because I'm sure everybody's going to want to know, because it's mind-blowing. It's fabulous.
Yes. So the breakup happened and we parted ways. And this time, man, I shut off all communication. I was like, this is all about me. I blocked him and his family and his friends on all aspects of social media. For me to heal, I needed to separate entirely from that. And I mean, no waiting for a text, no trying to go back, no hoping he would show up at my door, just flat out, I am walking away because it feels better to walk away from this situation. The trying to get there, the trying to force it to happen. I mean, it happened. We got back together, but it just wasn't right.
Yeah.
So once I started loving myself, I started journaling every day. And my very best friend, we had been very close for 4 years. I told him right away when it happened, and he was just checking in on me, making sure I was doing okay. And it was just this loving, no agenda, not trying to find anything out, just, how are you? Like, are you doing okay today? And we talked, and I healed. I didn't try to find something new. I didn't try to force it and get better or bring him back again for a third time. I just focused on me. And that meant journaling, that was meditation. And I mean, I didn't want to do it at the time because I was hurting from all of the, trying to make it happen, but I knew I needed it. And that's when you have to give self-love to yourself the most, is when you don't want to, because you're like, you want to wallow in your in your misery.
Yes.
So I focused on me, and my best friend, he was so loving and so kind and so supportive. And it was about 8 weeks afterward, I felt something. And we had kind of dated before I met my previous person, and but it just hadn't really. He moved away, and we stayed best friends long distance, but it wasn't right. And I wanted him to go live his life and have fun and do whatever he wanted to do, but he was head over heels for me. But he just wanted me to be happy, even if it wasn't for him. Key point. He wanted me to be happy no matter who I was with, but he loved me. And that's unconditional love. He has truly shown me what unconditional love is, because we would spend time together when he would come here to visit his family. And it was like magic. We just had fun. It was easy. And I never cheated on my previous person, because this was just my friend. Like, my other person always knew. So I never felt guilty about anything. I just had fun. We would spend time together. We would laugh, and it was easy. It was so easy. And then I would go back to my other person, and I would wonder in the back of my mind, why isn't it easy like this? Why is this not easy? Why, and then I would kind of brush it out of my mind. But then once my current person and I, like, were talking every day, he never once said anything flirty. He never tried a thing. It was like this natural evolution of, once I started healing, I realized everything I had been asking the universe for was right in front of me the whole time.
Wow.
Completely unconditional love. And by the way, I tried to explain to him, like, you manifested me. Like, do you understand? You actually manifested me life, because he said that he would imagine us together, and he just wanted me to be happy. He didn't care who I was with. He loved me so much. He wanted me to be happy even if I wasn't with him. Like, hello. That's what
That's
we've been
beautiful.
talking about. And I was just very, it almost kind of smacked me a little bit. Like, I am in someone else's manifestation. Are you kidding me? How is this?
Yes.
Like, I am in his manifestation. How is this? I'm supposed to be the one manifesting. What is going on?
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's great.
it was wonderful. Just no matter how much time I needed, no matter how much growth I was going through, he just is so patient, and he still is. So we decided to give it a go. And we've been together about a year now. And it just, everything just felt right. Everything was easy. Everything was
Yeah.
easy. I mean, it was a little hard, long distance learning to do that. But he moved here and
Okay.
we lived together. So
Nice.
yeah, everything just worked out. And I look back at all of the hard things that I tried to work through. I never have had a trust issue with my current boyfriend from the very beginning. And I had a friend tell me, and you and Dan told me, when it's right, like, it'll be easy to trust. Like, when it's what you're asking for, and like, it won't be that hard, that just trying to force it. It won't be that way.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
guys told me, like, it won't be that hard. Like, because I know I asked you guys, how am I ever going to trust someone again?
Mm.
It just was easy. And I followed my bliss. I followed what was easy and what was happy. And every time I had talked about him to anyone else while we were just friends, I always talked about him in a loving way. And I always said, he is the greatest guy. He would be a wonderful boyfriend for someone, a wonderful husband. He is loving and trustworthy. He's like a role model man in my life, that I always just kind of was like, that is a person that I would want to be with if things were working out. We were 9 hours apart, so we never tried
Yeah.
previously. And it just really, it just worked. And I will say, like, my old demons, as I'll call them, like my old insecurities, have come up from time to time, and it's things I have to work on and work through and heal, because it's not my now, it's the
Mm.
past. And I don't want to bring that into my current situation and ruin something so
Mm.
wonderful. So
Yeah.
I've had to let go. And I will tell you, I wasn't looking for this whatsoever. I was just open, and I told myself, I believe that I'm not going to go on a dating website after the breakup.
Yeah.
Whatever is meant for me, whatever I've been asking for, will find me. I don't have to do that. I just know it's coming, and I will be ready when it does. And boom,
Yeah.
there it was.
That's
It was
so
just,
great. That's
it
so
was
great.
incredible. Like, I was so excited to tell you and Dan. Like, I was like, you guys are not gonna believe this. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. Well, I remember that when Dan, you and I had that, last link up on Skype, or I think it was, or Zoom. And yeah, you were in so much, you'd just been hit with a brick on the back of your head. So, and you said that. I remember you saying, how am I ever going to trust again? And it's like, well, if someone had told you on that day that within a year you'd be fully trusting and fully happy and fully living together with someone you love, that's so wonderful. And I think too, when you start with a friendship and there's no sexual romantic connotation, you get to really, really know people.
yes.
And I think that's a better foundation in my experience and working with people. I think put the sex aside for a
Yes.
while, not saying, because I do think jumping into bed too much, too quick, too fast, it taints your vision of people.
Oh man, does it ever?
Yeah.
It does. And it's not saying that people, I have to be careful with people who've said stuff to me like, well, you know, how do you go about being friends first? Because they're like, well, if I want to engage in a sexual relationship with someone from the beginning, I should be able to, like, it's fine. It's,
Yeah.
you know, and it's not judgment. It's just that can cloud your vision of who they are. It can cloud your perception to the point where you don't see who they really are.
I agree with you.
Until it's too late, and then you're going, oh no, what have I gotten into?
And then you're hooked in with the chemistry part.
Yeah.
And I hear people say, oh, I love this person so much, but when I delve more deeply, it's the chemistry and the sexual contact that makes them think they love the person so much.
Oh yeah.
It's the two different things, and both of them are good. But sexual chemistry is not love. It's just sexual chemistry, and it's a big part of a great relationship. But you got to make sure you got both, not just the sex, because then you, like we just said, you don't see people clearly.
Right. Absolutely. And, you know, my past person, we had chemistry there, and we had chemistry in a lot of other ways, and we had a friendship as well. But fundamental values of who you are as a person, you can't meditate your way through that. You can't change a human being for who they are. And ironically, my boyfriend and I just had a conversation I would say it was last week, just about growth together. And you have to have these conversations. You, as a couple, you have to talk about what your goals are and what you see yourselves doing together. And, you know, I told him, I don't want to change who he is as a person. It's one thing to have a conversation and the other person be like, oh, wow, I didn't realize I was doing this. Or you say, oh man, I didn't know I was affecting you like this. Like, I didn't realize my actions, I was this way. But another thing for that person to have to change who they are to be something else for you. And that's not healthy. And I told him I would never want him to feel like he needs to change who he really is to be with me, because that's not fair. And it usually doesn't last when that happens. People, you have to want it for yourself. You can't want it for another person, because I feel like it just doesn't last when it's not because you genuinely want to change yourself or get better or grow. If you're trying to do it because so and so wants you to, there's bitter feelings, there's resentment that, you know, like for you, and and it's not healthy. I feel like.
So how long have you been living together now?
2.5 months.
Okay. And you're both working near home?
We both work within a mile from home.
That's great. That's great.
So it's been an adjustment, because we were best friends, yes, but we lived so far apart. We saw each other in bits and pieces, and we did the long distance thing where we would meet halfway in between our states and have a weekend together. But whenever you're seeing someone, and it's for a weekend, of course it's good. You know, of course it's fun, exciting. And then you get to a point where, you know, real life hits, and that's where you understand the work you've got to do as a couple and on yourself to grow together, because I didn't want to end up with that same thing of where I outgrew my past person. And so we have these conversations, and the communication is top notch. Like, we talk, and I can say, hey, you know, this is something we've got to talk about. We've got to deal with this. Like, how do you feel about it? Like, come to me. And then we work through it. And I don't ever feel afraid to talk to him about something. And that's another big thing. My past person, I was on eggshells all the time. Like, I was so scared I was going to mess up. I was going to say something, do something. And I didn't have boundaries of my own personal, like, how I felt about things, if something made me unhappy or uncomfortable, I didn't feel like I could say something. And now probably too much. Like, I immediately tell him, hey, I'm not okay with this. Like, I'm not comfortable. We can talk it out.
Yeah.
And it's that friendship.
Yeah.
That, hey, we talk about, we take our relationship and we set it to the side and we say, okay, right now we're just friends and I'm not hostile. Our relationship, our romantic side of this is over here. We're taking that out, the hostility, anything that could affect that. We take it out of the picture and we talk as friends and we talk as people and we take that pressure off of it. And it's been so much learning for me, but it's also been a really fast transformation. And when something starts to be good for you and you kind of get on that roller coaster feeling of, oh man, this is speeding up. Oh my God, all this good stuff all at once. I don't even know I can't even get my feet on the ground. And so many things happen. I lost 30 pounds immediately getting into this relationship. Just because I felt secure and I wasn't stressed and I was allowed to love myself through it.
Yeah.
I was allowed to just be at peace. And if I could describe my relationship in one word, it's peaceful. It's easy. It's peaceful. Like, there are hard things that we've had to go through as a couple, but it's peaceful. And I could continue with my fitness journey. I openly talk about meditating. I talked about our interview today, and he knows I have a podcast. He knows I took a little bit from him, but he knows I don't hide anything.
Yeah.
And that's important, because with my past person that I manifested back, I was on eggshells. I was hiding things. I was like, oh gosh, I hope he doesn't find out. I meditated about this. And my current person, we talk about meditating. We talk about it. He knows I do it. He knows he's working on getting into it himself, because it's just not something he's ever done. But I don't feel like I'm hiding anything. I don't feel like that so caused the problems with the past relationship, because I was always like in fear. Like, I always, in the back of my mind, like, what if he knew I was meditating and visualizing scenes and creating, and how would he feel about that? And my current person and I, we talk about it all the time.
That's so
and
great.
So within a year, just a quick little recap of how good things got. I manifested a promotion and 3 pay raises at my job in the past 9 months.
Is that because you're doing well that they've just kept? Yeah.
And I believe I incorporate. It was easier to focus on my beliefs about myself in the workplace once I didn't have the other part of what I was struggling with. And so I have manifested the 3 pay raises in a year, a promotion. Oh my gosh, so much. Just random money. I have money coming to me all the time. And I remember I had come to you and said, can you create that money meditation for me? And I actually used that. I remember when, just when I'm driving down the road, I think about, I remember a year ago when I was just getting my feet under me after the breakup had happened. And, I was struggling, but like where I am a year later, night and day.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm secure emotionally, I'm secure financially, and I love my life, but I talk about it in a very positive way. And I focus on that, the positive part of it. And I listened to that. I remember when meditation sometimes about money, because I remember when money was tight and I didn't have $20 in between paydays. I remember when I couldn't go buy what I wanted. I remember when, and I look back and remind myself of my progress. And it's incredible.
Yeah. So Jaclyn, are you still in the same job you were in when you were with your old person?
Yes. Same company, same job. Just growth within the company. I think I had so many mental blocks that were holding me back. Of I was so focused on him that
Yeah.
once I took focus off of that and I felt peaceful in my life, all of this like good I'd been doing in my career just exploded. And I mean, I've taken on a new position, sort of. It's same job, but just a new position that is just a little different, and it's tough. And my supervisors are like, we know you can do this. Like, we believe in you. Like, and I'm just there. They said everything I've done lately, in the past year or two to show them I could do it. And it's all of this stuff just has come to the surface, and it's kind of, I mean, it's mind blowing. Like, it's a lot of good things that have happened. My parents' lives have turned around. Even they meditate. We talk about money together, and the transformation it's like it snowballed from my life to my parents' life, just to everyone around me. And it's really, once you get started, it's very hard to go back to that previous, just that down place. Like, I feel it coming sometimes. Like, I can tell, like, and I stop myself. No, we are not going back there. We are not going back to that. One big thing, I had taken an exam for a certification for my job a year ago, whenever I was still with my former person, and I failed it, not by a lot, but by some. And I was very frustrated with myself, because I'm a good test taker. I don't get test anxiety at all. I love tests, actually. So I'm very different in that way, because a lot of people, they hate taking tests. And I love it. And it baffled me why I failed it. This year I took it again. And I even posted this on my podcast, because it was so incredible how I approached my exam this time and my results. I visualized myself like the screen saying pass when I would end my exam. And I just pictured that over and over and over and over. And I told myself that the answers would come to me, even if I didn't know them. I became okay with not passing. Like, I was like, well, if I don't pass, it's okay. I'll take it again. No big deal. I took the pressure off. And, I told myself, the material. Like, this is your job. You do this every day. Of course you can pass this. And I never let myself see anything on that screen of when you finish the exam on the computer and it say pass. And I passed. And I was almost in tears. Well, I was in tears, actually. I hit the submit button, and the test moderator came over, and I saw that it said pass, and I was crying, and she was like, "Are you okay?" I was so excited and beaming, because I imagined people telling me congratulations, which is a Nev Goddard thing, where there's a congratulatory scene. Imagined my email signature at work with my new title on it. And I would have pictures in my mind. And so, yes, I knew the material, but I removed all of that test anxiety of, oh, I'm taking it for a second time, I hope I pass, to just, I'm going to pass. But if I don't, it's okay. I'll take it again, And I mean, that was huge. There's less than 10,000 people in the United States that have the certification. So,
nice.
Yep. And so that happened. There's so many good things that just keep happening, and
and did you move?
I don't know.
Jaclyn, did you move, or are you still living in the same place before your person moved in with you?
Yep, I'm still in the same place. We decided to keep my current apartment, because I told him, I can afford this without you. I can afford this life without you. And that gives me security within the relationship. And we can make it work, in a 1 bedroom. He didn't have a lot of furniture. We have like a storage facility for extra stuff. But and I told him if we can't make it, in this apartment, we're not going to be able to make it in a bigger place either. So why would we want to, put that stress of a bigger rent, going, debt. I'm like, no, I'm happy here. I'm comfortable here. I afford this all by myself without you.
Yeah.
So I want to stay here. And it took that pressure off the relationship a lot, actually, because I can afford it without it.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, because I remember you were talking about at one point, I'm going to have to move and it's too expensive because you didn't have enough money then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. And so my place that I'm in now, I've been in for a year and a half. And oh yeah, that's part of it too. So when I first moved into this apartment, it was right after you had the money meditation for me. And I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. But I told myself, I will make it work. It will work out. I got into this apartment. And I made sure that my animals, my dog and my cat, had food. My electricity bill, my electric was on, and my rent was paid.
Yeah.
And I knew that if I had to walk to work, because I'm only a mile, United States mile from work. I don't know what that is.
No,
so
it's,
I'm not
it's miles in England too.
Oh, okay, perfect. I know some people are like, "What's a mile?" And I'm like,
know.
"Oh gosh." But I knew I could walk to work if I had to. I had friends who could give me a ride.
Yeah.
My priorities were making sure my dog and my cat had food, my electricity stayed on, and my rent was paid. And everything else would sort itself out. And I said, you know what? I'm okay if I just have to eat like eggs and cheese and bread, bare necessities to make it. I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
And then I imagined my bank account not being overdrawn in between. And I couldn't go from being overdrawn where I had fees and I just, I wasn't even getting my whole paycheck because my bank account was in the negative to, I have tons of money. I can't make that leap. So I just imagined myself being at zero balance where I wasn't in the negative.
Yeah.
And do that. I could make that happen.
Yes.
And then after that, it was, oh, well, I can imagine having $20 in my bank account in between paydays. $20 is not unreasonable. I was just so happy to have that. And I was so proud to get the payday with $20. Everything started working out. And I'll be completely honest, I was $2,600, $2,000 behind on my vehicle payment.
Yeah.
And I had 2 loans that were over $1,000. And I took steps I worked with the creditors. I paid them off with great, ratings from them. Like nothing was late. I got everything straightened out with my vehicle. And so now I'm ahead a year later. I was open and honest about my situation. I faced my situation. I didn't try to pretend like it wasn't happening, but I didn't let it make me afraid.
Yes.
I didn't let it create fear. So I didn't, sit there and wallow in my debt, but I said, you know what? This is what it is, and I'm going to get out of it. It's going to change. This is what I'm doing. These are the steps I'm taking. I'm not running. I'm not afraid. And it's getting better. And I just focused on it getting better. And then boy, did it ever get better. It took a while. It's not instant. And I know people with money, they need that instant relief from bills. They need that instant, because it's scary and it's pressure. It is terrifying.
Yeah.
But you can get out of it. You can't. It takes the work and paying what you can, and then being grateful for paying what you can really helped me. Like I can't pay everything, but I can pay something. And I felt so good in that moment of saying, here's relief from the debt. Here's the money.
Yeah.
And I felt better about it. And every time I felt better, money just started finding me.
Yeah. It really is
just
that simple, isn't it? It's the feeling better that attracts more money. It's the feeling better that attracts more love. It's that simple. It really is
yes,
that simple.
it really is. And
Yeah.
so many great things happen. Oh yeah, I found a place for my horse nearby right after the breakup happened, and I didn't at
Yeah.
the time, I didn't know how I was going to pay for it because it was more than what I was paying, but I just knew she had to be close to me. She had to be safe. And now she's 15 minutes away. I can go ride anytime I want. Like the facility is wonderful. She's safe from storms. And all of these things just started happening once I got rid of everything I was trying to force with
Yeah.
my ex. And, you know, I was really afraid to tell people that I had walked away from that. I was, because I knew that they love the story. Yeah, you manifest
Mm,
one back, but just because you do manifest something, it doesn't necessarily mean that you should. Like, it doesn't
yeah.
mean that it's best for you, because sometimes you do have mental blocks that you're not going to get over. And no matter how much you keep trying to recreate, that other person has free will, you have free will, and it's just going to keep this cycle. And you have to realize, like, maybe I've outgrown this. Maybe I need to step to something that's better for me and feels good. Because if it doesn't feel good,
Mm,
it's hard, and in the beginning, it did feel good. I manifested him back, and it was great, and we had a wonderful time. But then I realized all the self-love I was doing, I outgrew him. I outgrew the situation, and I kept asking for things he couldn't give me, and it just wasn't going anywhere. It was stuck. And
yeah.
that's when I realized that, something was going to happen to probably slap me in the face and say, hey, I've got something better for you. You keep asking for something and it's over here, but you have to let go of this to get over here.
Yeah. But it's looking back that you can see all that, isn't it? Like you can see it so clearly when you are a year down the track. When you're in the middle of it, it's like it's so hard to see because you're so
Man.
fixated or you're so preoccupied or you're so in pain or you're suffering and it's consuming. So it's very hard to lift your eyes up and really take a look. It is hard. Having been there, you and me, you just get there when you get there and, it's all in the right time. But yeah, it's good to hear, because there's no right way around the circle. There are people
Yeah,
that manifest a specific person, those that don't, those that do, and then they choose to leave. There's all different scenarios. And
for
that's,
sure.
it's good to hear your scenario, but the end result is that you're so much happier for it. And that result tells you it's the right thing for you.
Mhm. And really, you're so right. Like, there's so many different ways to do it, and there's so many different outcomes. Some people can manifest their person back, and it's great, and they live a happy life, and it's
Yeah.
wonderful. That is absolutely possible. And then there's my situation where I
Yeah.
manifested him back. I outgrew it, and I realized I wanted something different. It just didn't fit me anymore.
Mm.
And now I'm so much
Yeah.
infinitely happier than what I
Yeah.
was. And then there are people that don't manifest their person back, and they realize, I'm glad I didn't, because maybe they get a chance to see why it didn't work in the first place. And I chose to use mine as a learning experience. Yes,
Yeah.
I could have spent that time doing other things, but I learned a lot about myself. I healed issues from my divorce. I learned what unconditional love really is.
Yeah.
And that is my person. He is I I expect him to be so mad over certain things, and he's so patient and kind. He tells me
Mm.
when he's upset, but he's so patient and kind. Like, I expect this backlash that
Yeah.
never comes.
That never
And
comes. Yeah.
it's just, I want to be, he makes me want to be better at unconditional love. He
Nice.
he makes me want to be more loving, more accepting. And I've realized what I do need to work on, but it's not in a negative way. It's not a fear. It's not a panic. It's, I've got to get better at that. I need to be softer. I need to give him grace. I need to not be so rigid because, and it's funny. I actually just posted this on my podcast yesterday because boundaries. I went from having none with my past person because I thought unconditional love meant I was a doormat. I just, no matter how bad he treated me, no matter how things were, I would just be there for him.
Yeah.
And what I didn't understand was how hard, like how much it was hurting me to be that available and not saying, no, this doesn't feel right. I can't do this. I don't want to do this right now. And I went the full other end of the spectrum, and bless my boyfriend because he has been so patient. And I went from I'll do anything for you no matter how you treat me to who do you think you are? This is my boundary. This is my, like, how you are not going to walk on me ever again. And this person has never done that to me. So that's why I realized I had to adjust and come sort of to the middle in a happy place, because I went so protective of myself that I was going to hurt him because I was in defense mode all the time.
Yeah.
And I had to throttle back, and I realized a lot yesterday about how I have to find that middle ground and be kinder to him when he, I walled myself up so much, like, well, I'm going to love myself and I'm not going to settle, and you are not going to take away this life I've built. Because crawling out of my debt, I became very proud of the life I built here in my apartment. And maybe it may not be a big deal to other people, but I'm secure and I love my life, and I rebuilt this myself. That I became very protective of it. No, you're not going to take away that. Like, it was really hard adjusting to him moving in, because of my own, I'm trying to protect myself. And I went the opposite end of the spectrum from being walked on, and my other person could ghost me for a couple days, and I would just be like, oh my gosh, he messaged me, instead of being like, that's pretty rude. Like, I know you may have stuff going on, but that's not okay, and I'm not okay with that. And now I'm in a place of, I'm not ready for that yet, but I can be. Like, this is not comfortable for me. This makes me uncomfortable, but I can work on this. I can compromise. I can find this, and saying I'm not okay with it. Yeah, instead of just saying yes and doing something to it when I'm not ready, and then that inner turmoil later, I'm upset because I did something I wasn't ready to do. You don't realize when you agree to something that you're not okay with, no matter what it is, whether it's a job, whether it's going somewhere, being around other people, whatever it may be. When you agree to something when you're not really ready for it, there's backlash mentally inside, because you're doing something you really don't want to do. And when you do that enough, or what I caused problems for myself that I've had to kind of like heal from and come back from, because I had to realize, like, it's okay if I say no. It's okay to say, I can't do that right now. That's, I'm giving a lot of myself right now. I need to spend some time on me, because you can't give from an empty tank. And when your job is stressful, or my company has a party for Christmas every year. We have it in November because it gets too busy in December, and that's my favorite event. I love this party. And this year we had like a casino night theme, and everyone dresses up, and I mean, it's almost 200 people. We got to the day of the party, and my coworkers asked me, are you coming? And I said, nope, I've had too much people this week. I am not. And I knew if I went, I would be just emotionally drained, tapped out. I can't do it. I would have come home grumpy. And I said, nope, sorry guys, I love you all. too much people this week. I'm peopled out. And I went
Yeah.
home, relaxing evening with my boyfriend, and we watched movies and ordered dinner, and I rested, and it was just, I was so grateful I chose that
Yeah.
over being there for other people. That, yes, it would have been a great time, but I probably would have been emotionally just drained afterward, and I
Yeah.
chose myself in that moment. And that, I think that's really important for people to understand, that you can't give from an
Mm.
empty tank.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. And that's part of self-love, is realizing and checking in with yourself. Where am I up to? Oh, I'm below 5 out of 10. I need to take a break. You don't have to
Yeah.
hit 0. Once you hit 6, 5, you can sort of gauge, okay, let me get myself back up from 5. You don't need to go right down to 0, which I think is, more self-loving. So you don't end up in hospital. You don't end up with a heart attack. You don't end up with, an accident, whatever, because you've
Mm-hmm.
um, dealt with it before it gets to the crucial point, or the drama, when the drama hits. So that's wonderful. So good. So good.
Yes.
So good.
I
Lovely.
learned that from you, because you were talking about how after multiple coaching sessions in a day, sometimes that
Yep.
you will be drained, and you've got to turn, and you got to be like, nope, I am done. I got to have a
Yeah.
day that is just me. I'm not responding
Yeah.
to emails today. I'm not,
Yeah.
because it just pulls so much out of you.
Yeah, it
And
taps you, it taps your energy. So yeah, you got to look at that. I look at that daily, because yeah, because and you also, when you are giving, you want to really give and be present and give the best that you can. So if you're pushing, too much, and outputting too much, that last person isn't going to get good quality work or coaching or whatever
oh
from
yeah.
you. So yeah, I think it's important, especially if this is what you're doing as a job. Like, you got to be a billboard for what you're actually trying to teach other people. You got to do that. Before this interview, I did like 2 Deepak meditations, the 21-day ones. I thought,
Oh,
let me lay
hey, you're in
down.
that too.
Yeah, it's really good. So I listened to day 17 and day 18, laid in bed with my little electric blanket on. And I thought, I'm going to do that, because I had a coaching session before that. And then I had you. And I thought, no, let's have a break, close the eyes, disconnect.
Mm-hmm.
It's important. It's important. And it's got to be done daily, regularly, not just once a week. It's got to be
Mm-hmm.
done regularly. So,
And it's so important. And I know that some people, I feel like, and as much as I love helping people, it's hard for me when they want to do a meditation and they want an instant fix. They
yeah.
think, well, text message meditation, or
Yes.
uh, something like that, and they want this instant fix. And
Mm.
it's like, it's so much deeper and
Yes.
continuous. It's
Yes.
so continuous. You can't just one
Yeah.
meditation, your person comes back and you're done. Man, if it was that easy, do you realize how much chaos our world would be in? Because people would be because people would be meditating and getting what they want and undoing other things. And there's a process. And
There's a
I know that
process.
people, they want their pain to end. They
Yeah.
want that comfortable spot to end. And I sympathize. Like, trust me, I've spent,
Yeah.
well, this would be year 3 if I was with my former person.
Yeah.
And I, like, yeah, you got a lot built up in there. You got a lot with that relationship. You've got history, you've got time, you've got memories. And I forgave my person. And I also had to forgive myself for trying to manipulate the situation, because that's not healthy.
Yeah.
And you want an end to all that pain, and you want a result. You think that text message, that phone call, that date, that sleeping over together, that it's going to fix it. And it can't be a one. It's not the movies.
No.
It's not just you run into someone at coffee and then later they call you and then you're back together and it's
Yeah.
amazing. Have a family. It doesn't work that way. And I know that people want to get through the process, but they don't understand, like, self-love, it's layers of
It is.
unfolding. And I didn't understand that at first. When I first started listening to you, I understood the concept of self-love, but I don't think I understood what I needed to heal until events came up that put it in my face. And I was like, oh man, like, why does that bother me?
Yeah.
And once I got through that, I started to understand the process. And when I need self-love the most is usually when I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Isn't that true?
And it's so frustrating. But you can't want the instant fix. It's like with weight loss. It's like with fitness.
It's like with weight loss. It's like with fitness. And I think, that's the thing. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people selling instant manifesting on YouTube, which I will say I'm not a fan of, because I think it
bothers me.
Yeah, it's not selling a real look, things can happen instantly. And I'm not against it, but if it doesn't happen instantly, then people start to think there's something wrong with them, that they can't manifest it that quick. And I think that people don't need to feel, I can see this instant stuff, but I'm not able to do it. So then they feel not good enough again.
Oh yeah. It just like amplifies that lack of self-worth, because they already go into it with doubt. So they want something instant because they don't believe in the process. And then when they do the instant meditation, the manifestation doesn't happen, then their self-worth gets even worse.
Exactly. And that's such a shame, because I'm not a fan of YouTubers that pump out instant manifesting.
Oh no.
I think it's actually them trying to get views so they can get paid by Google. And I know someone will probably complain about me saying that, but I don't care.
I've listened to some, and I recently found a podcast of I can't remember her name right now, but it's on Google Music, because I don't have an iPhone.
Yeah.
I have Android. But this podcast is this lady. Oh my gosh, she's literally me. Like, and I know it was like synchronicity that I found her, but her story is literally me word for word. And I listened to that, and it's so genuine. It's so real. She actually even talks like me a little bit. And so I'm listening to her going, wow, we think the same. And then the opposite end of that is when I'm on YouTube and I see something that's an instant manifestation. I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. What's this going to be? And I listen, and there's something that is not coming from experience. It's not coming from real life. It's not coming from pain and practice and the struggle and the layers of peeling back for your journey and figuring it out and step by step. It's, well, I did this once and it worked for me, so here, now I'm going to sell it. And that frustrates me, because it gives the impression that it's an instant thing, and it's not. I mean, I've been talking to you for 2 years now. And it's taken 2 years, to get to where I am. And when I look back at the person who first emailed you in June of 2017, I am not that same person. I've grown so much, and I've learned so much, and my view went from being tunnel vision to way out here. And the instant stuff on YouTube just really bothers me, because I feel like it's not coming from experience. Not all the time. Sometimes these people are really genuine. They really are. I'm not going to sell them short on that. But there are some that it's just a quick fix. People then get frustrated because I see people in the comments. The comments are, didn't work, you're lying, didn't work. And I'm like, moving on. And you can feel when it's genuine. You can feel when it's coming from experience, because there's passion, emotion. And even, I've been talking to some people, and I have to say, you know what, I'm really sorry if I get really passionate about this, or I get very stern, and I'm like, cut the Facebook stalking, stop it. Like, it's not healthy. You can't control anything. It's because it doesn't work. Like, I was there, 2 years ago.
And you're just projecting out, I'm second best, by doing that, because you're looking for evidence of betrayal, distrust, and all that energy of distrust, envy, looking for betrayal, anxiety, it's all going forward into your actions of stalking. And then that's actually being photocopied, and you're creating a third party coming in or something happening to you that you really don't want, because what you focus on is what you get. So people think that stalking, you get away with it, that no one knows. Boy, oh boy, it's like this big antenna goes up to the universe, and that antenna signals, bring me some disaster with a third party because I'm looking for it. And
Mhm.
I want people to hear that, because I don't want that to happen to people. It's a terrible thing to do to yourself. Don't do it. If you want meaningful, loving relationships, you have to act like someone who's got that, and that action is a second best person's activity.
Mhm. And I feel like people don't understand that it is a second best, like I'm not worthy activity, because you're trying to self-sabotage. You're trying to confirm
Yeah.
your lack of self-love. You're trying
Yes. Yes.
to say, well, of course I found him cheating because I knew I would know. You created it because you were looking for it, because you need to justify how badly you feel about yourself.
Mm.
You're justifying that you don't love yourself by saying, of course I found him cheating. Well, if a person that loves themselves is not going to constantly look for confirmation that
Yeah.
they're not worthy because someone cheated on them. Like,
Yeah.
when you love yourself, you're not trying to find reasons to justify feeling unworthy, because that's
Yes.
really what the stalking is you're looking for proof. And then
Mm.
you want to say, well, I knew it and I looked for it. No, you manifested it because you believed
Mm.
in it so much that it had no choice but to come up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's a vicious cycle. And I mean, I was there. I did that. I
Mm.
I stalked. I stalked so much, and I always found something.
Yeah.
I always found something.
I know. I
And
know.
it's just very unhealthy.
And you
And it
hurt
takes
yourself so badly. You injure yourself
Mhm.
mentally and emotionally so badly doing that. So,
You do.
yeah, hopefully it will be a reminder for people not to do it and to put more effort into doing their self-love. If you spend that 30 minutes stalking and then you go, hang on, I'm going to spend that 30 minutes doing my self-love of some description, even if it's just having a sleep in the afternoon or having a bath, or going
Mhm.
outside for a walk, and you do your affirmations and you go have a coffee, that has got way more ability to attract a loving and meaningful relationship than you going on Facebook and stalking your ex or a specific person. So, and you bring it to you much faster when you give up that activity, I think.
Yeah, oh, you do. And I'm pretty sure you talked about, you talk about the 51%. Like, that's
Yes.
really, you just need to be more. And really, um, the positive thoughts, I'm pretty sure is Neville that talks about how much more weight the positive thoughts and the positive actions have than the negative. So when you manifest something negative, you have to put way more energy into that to make it happen compared to the good. The good
Mm.
carries more weight and emphasis in the universe, because the universe is based on love and self-love. So when you're in that state of loving and self-love and you're projecting it out, it has so much more emphasis and weight to it than the negative. So when you actually
Mm.
have to manifest the negative, you have really, really been in the bad place,
Yeah, and
because
you've
it
got
takes
extremely
more energy.
good at what that tells you. That event tells you, I'm extremely good at repetitive, habitual negative thinking.
Oh my
There's the
Lord, yes.
evidence. Yeah.
And I still, to this day, I still catch myself when I start to have maybe, just a negative thought about myself. I go on autopilot of, I am loved, I am secure, I am wanted. Because I did that so much when I was
Yeah,
trying to manifest my part back, that now it's ingrained.
it
I
is.
can't get rid of it. I can't get rid of it. It is there. And I immediately, I am secure, I am wanted, I am loved. And then when I'm walking into work every single day, as I'm walking up the stairs, I say to myself probably 20 times, I'm amazing at my job. I am amazing at my job. my coworkers love me. I am respected at my job. And I tell myself this as I'm walking into work, and I set my tone for the day.
Yeah.
And
Beautiful.
that is, it's an autopilot now. And man, it wasn't for the longest time. And people are like, well, affirmations don't work. For me, they drowned out the mind chatter. Like I remember you saying, would get up in the middle of the night and say it to yourself like 400 times, like just, as much as you could to drown out those thoughts every time you were awake. And eventually it does replace.
It does.
While you're working on your self-love. Affirmations are not meant to be a switch and automatically make you love yourself, but it drowns out that mind chatter. It drowns out, and it helps you revert to those phrases. For me, that was my go-to, rather than, oh, I'm terrible at my job, or, oh, no one likes me. It was, I am loved, I am wanted, I'm secure. And I still do it. I catch myself all the time, and I'll hear it in my mind, and I'm like, oh, there it is.
Nice.
It just happens.
Yeah, it does. It finds you in the end. It finds you. You don't go looking for it because you've said it so much. It becomes the default. That becomes the default, not the other stuff. And that's when you go, nice. I've kind of leveled up in my ability to be somebody who has repetitive, habitual, positive thinking. That's who I am today. It's a great moment, isn't it? It's a great moment.
It's interesting how powerful our minds are and what we can manifest. And if people understood the power of their thoughts, like truly the power of your thoughts, they would never think another negative thought again. And it's human to think negative thoughts. It's human to be frustrated. I get frustrated, but self-love is knowing when you've had enough of something to the point where I'm about to be in that negative spot and I don't want to go there. So I'm going to fix it now before I even get there. It's much easier to keep your head above water rather than to pull yourself out when you've gotten into that bad place.
I agree. Much easier. Maintenance is so much easier than having to start again from zero.
Oh, yes.
Well, thank you, my lovely. That is just brilliant. I think people are really going to enjoy this. I will put the link to your podcast down below. So send it to me, and then I will add it in, and anything else you want me to put down there. I think it's so great that many of you who have been interviewed by me some time ago, that you come back and you share the ups and downs, and then you share the new up, because there is always a new up if you keep doing this work. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It's really about changing your state, as Neville says, or, just being in a much happier place through doing your self-love, through working on your mental diet, etc., etc. And life just gets so much easier. Oh my God, if you could just get a glimpse of how much easier it gets, you would keep going, and you would just know that everything that I experience, how my life is now, where you are today in your life, it's possible for everybody that will just continue to do the work. It does come.
It absolutely comes. And, I'm so grateful for you and all of the times we talk, and, I just was so happy to share my story again, because it is ups and downs. And I know a lot of people would be like, well, what happened to your person? You manifested them back. But, I'm so grateful that I did, because I learned, and now I have something that's infinitely better, and I'm happy, and it's easy. And, I still work on manifesting little things. I manifested a new camera for my photography business, and, things like that. And but it's easier when you are happy and you're truly happy. So it's a journey. It's constantly changing.
To be continued, as they say. It's always to be continued. Until you take your last breath, and then it's probably to be continued on the other side, but we'll find that out when we get there.
Oh, yes. Right. It's probably a whole new adventure.
A whole new adventure. All right, Jaclyn, do you want to say bye to everybody before we go?
Yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful for the people that do reach out, and I I love the love. I love, I know there's always going to be some who don't agree with things, but I just want everyone to know you can change your life. And even if you're trying to manifest a specific person and it doesn't end up being what you want, you can change your mind. You can change your mind as much as you want to follow something that feels better, because that's what this is about. That's what
Yeah.
it's about. And as much as you love yourself and you grow, you may outgrow something and decide you want something totally different. And that's absolutely okay to change your mind and say, I don't
Mm,
want this anymore. I want something different. So don't
yeah.
be afraid to change your mind.
Yeah. Thank you, Jaclyn. Thanks for giving your time to come back and help people, because it's those of you that come back, that is just people need to hear. They need to hear that it's real and that you're still living it and that it's improved. People need to hear that. They need to be inspired by that. So thank you for sharing a bit of your time on a Sunday.
Thank you
Let
for having me.
where are you exactly, so people know where you are in the US?
I'm in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. Nice, nice, nice,
Yeah.
nice. Beautiful. Well, bye, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this interview. And as per usual, to be continued, you know where and you know when. Now I've got to work out how to get out of here.